Hello everyone, it's Matt from Akuma Mods, back again with our review of the Phrozen Sonic Mini 4K. I know it's been a while since I had this unit. It's probably been almost a month, if not more. So my apologies for not getting back to you. Excuse me. But I've just been so busy with everything. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this. So Frozen sent me this to review and basically give my feedback on, and for the most part, it hasn't been too bad of a machine. I will say that the Frozen Aqua Gray 4K resin that they sent with me, the first bottle seemed to have a separation issue where the color was separating from the actual resin, so it wasn't really printing very well. So I had some issues with that. I don't think it was really a machine issue because they sent me another bottle and everything seemed to be printing perfectly fine. And I didn't have any issues from then on. Also, switching to different style resins seemed to be perfectly fine. I didn't have any issues with that. So really, the biggest thing about this is, the 4K. Is it truly that much of a big difference when it comes to printing? And in my personal experience, it's minimalistic at best. And I say that because, well, I have 3 prints here, and I'm sorry because my camera doesn't really focus very well or get into the light. But I can share these photos if you guys want me to. But basically, we have 3 different resin prints. Well, they're not different; they're all the same, but from 3 different printers. So we have one from the Sonic Mini 4K. We also have one from the Creality LDR, which is a standard 5.5-inch screen, and then we also have one from the Creality LDH, which is a monochrome screen. So it's a 6.08 screen or 6.1. I forget which one it is, but it's a monochrome screen. So I don't know if you guys can see that or if my camera's picking it up, but you can see there's different variations of each and every one. You got one that's a little bit more shiny, one that's a little bit dulled, and then one that's really, really dulled out. Now, I thought that was kind of interesting because each and every screen has their own specific style and feature, I guess you can say, where the light output, kind of puts it out in a certain way. So, so I decided to print these all with tune settings and make sure that we get the best results for them. Unfortunately, when I was removing them from the bed, some of the tails on a couple of these ripped off, but for the most part, the super high detail part, which is really the scales of this dragon print, and I'll link the file for this. This is basically a Dragon Ball Z. Probably gonna butcher this name, Shinra, the dragon from Dragon Ball Z, and this was created by Kimbolt. And again, I'll leave the link for this specific STL file down in the description below. But yeah, it's really, really hard to tell these prints apart. And I sent this to a couple people just to verify, it wasn't just me being biased or anything like that. And out of the 5 people that I sent it to, only one kind of got it. And he noticed a little bit on some of the scales that there was a slight bit more detail. Not much. And it's really, really hard to catch it. So, in turn, yeah, it works, but not to the extent where it's like game-changing, I would say. Now, granted, I haven't really printed anything besides this that's more detailed. I've been printing, little tiny parts and things like that, and some figurines, and they seem to be missing, unfortunately. I don't know where they ran off to. Probably my kids stole them. I don't know. Oh, actually, here's one. So here's another one that we printed off. That one's pretty good detail, but I mean, it's okay at best. So this one is a hive from StarCraft. And I think I got this off Thingiverse. And it printed pretty well. It's not too bad. It does have some, shiny features on it. This was a different resin from the other ones. But yeah, for the most part, it's just a slight step up. So really, I'm not trying to put the machine down or anything like that, because it does work. It works as it's intended. And it does give you a little bit extra features here and there. And again, I know trying to see this on the on this video is going to be kind of hard. So I will have a link to the picture that you guys can check this out and see exactly which one is what. And you can determine and see how much of a little bit finer detail it is. So if you're looking for really, really high quality prints, this is definitely a good printer. But I don't really think it's that substantial of a markup from what I printed so far. So besides that, the printer has worked a lot better than my previous experience with the Sonic Mini. You guys have probably seen my unboxing video for the original Sonic Mini that came out. And the reason why I got my hands on that is because it was boasting some insanely fast printing times and unheard of at the time. So I had to try it out. Well, unfortunately, I did my unboxing video, and about 10 minutes after my unboxing video, it died. It would go down to the vat, start its first layer, and then turn off. And I didn't really have time to mess around with it, so I sent it packing. So I never got around to actually doing a review on that. So my apologies for that. I mean, I guess I could do kind of a mock review and let you guys know my actual thoughts on that. But I don't know if it was just a fluke of a machine, and I really didn't give it a chance, to be in all honesty. I was just kind of disappointed right away because, in my opinion, if I get a machine that's brand new, it should be at least 3 months before I see any issues at all. Unless they're user error, like piercing a FET film or crushing the LCD because I left some cured resin in the vat. But yeah, that's really just an issue with that machine. This one, the one thing that I did notice is it kind of had the same issue as the original Sonic Mini, where the power plug is a little bit wonky, a little janky, as some may say. So I'm not too particularly happy about that part of this machine, but for the most part, everything else is much, much more improved over most of the machines out there. They went away with the plastic vats, which I'm super happy about. Now I am seeing that they are bringing back the plastic vats, but in a different sense. They're not going to be like the cheap plastic ones that they used to have. They're actually going to be like high quality ABS molded plastic. And it seems to be that the industry is going that way as well, just to keep down weight and production costs. So that provides a cheaper machine for you. So in some ways, I'm a little worrisome about it. Other ways, I understand where they're going with it. But it would still be nice to have that option. So anyway, this one does have the metal vat in it. As you can see, there is a print on there right now, if you guys can or cannot see. I also printed this, I guess you can call it drip mount. So I was looking for a very good drip mount for this machine. And I came across this one, and it was just kind of okay. Basically, it stands it straight up and lets it tip here. But the problem is when you have a larger print, it doesn't really work too well, and it's just ergonomically, it's not very fluid. So I kind of went away with this, and I went with that little simple print. I did print it on an FDM printer. You can print it in resin too, as long as it's a ABS or a high quality resin, and it'll work just fine. But what's nice about it is it fits just right and it'll bypass the build plate. So you don't have to worry about it rubbing against it. You can always leave it on there. I always love that type of stuff where instead, you know, you have to pull this on, pull that off, pull this, put this on, put that on, and do all that. I'd rather have it all together, just kind of tip it and call it a day. So I like this a lot better for a print. I will provide the STL down here. I just have to search for it for a little bit. But basically, this is from an old Sonic Mini print, and it works just fine with the new Sonic Mini 4K. Otherwise, software-wise, it's pretty much exactly the same as the Sonic Mini. And sheet to box settings is pretty straightforward. Everything is already set up for you. Obviously, you have to tweak your settings per bottle of resin that you're using. But I haven't had too many failed prints. The only times that I did have failed prints was with these, the Frozen 4K, the Frozen 4K gray, aqua gray bottle that I first got sent. And I don't know if it was just a mixing issue, what happened with it, but everything was remedied after they sent me the second bottle, and I kind of used that all up and was using just regular gray resin. I believe this was at the rest of my Anycubic gray resin, and everything turns out perfectly fine after that. I've had no issues with this printer whatsoever. I know I have seen some people have issues where the tape has come unstuck on the LCD, where the controller board kind of goes in the way of the LED light or the UV light, and that poses a problem. Here's one thing you got to understand about this. This is a really, really cheap printer. So not only is it cheap in price, it's cheaply made. You can clearly see that on everything here. It's a really, really cheap printer. And it's made to be that way. It's not bad in any way, shape, or form. It's specifically designed to be the best budget printer on the market. So with you getting a 4K resin printer, this is the standard right now until somebody makes something a little bit better. And I know you guys can argue, well, there's other printers, there's bigger printers that are 4K. Yes, those bigger printers are listed as 4K, but they're not true 4K. This printer is actually the only true 4K on the current market right now as of making this video. So the whole thing about that is the pixels per square inch and the way that it distributes everything in the pixelization. That's what matters on this. So with it being 4K, it actually is true 4K. So it can utilize that full amount. So like I said, while it's not a huge step up in detail, at least from my experience, now again, that may vary from print to print because some prints may be more detailed. It all depends on who's modeling the print. If you really want to do a highly detailed print, then you want to go ahead and put that print on here and see if it'll come out with every single bit of detail. But if you're just going on Thingiverse, most of the time people just kind of throw a print on there. It's good enough to where you can see all the little nook and crannies and everything, but it's nothing like super high detail where you're going to see like a little ridge or anything like that. I will say that I did print a couple more things, and we'll go in my little parts bin here. So this one was printed with the 4K resin that Phrozen sent me. This was the second bottle. And as you can see, there is very, very high detail on this print specifically, where the robe, you can see all the little creases in it. But, I mean, again, I kind of printed this straight up, and I maxed out the build plate. So this was actually kind of hard to get off. So I don't suggest doing that. I just kind of went on Sheet2Box, and I put prints to fit to build volume, basically. and it did it, and it did it too much because I had a hard time pulling this off, and I kind of bent it a little bit. But yeah, this is the 4K resin, so I mean it's pretty flexible. It's not too bad. I did have a little bit of failure here when I was trying to take it off, so that was totally my fault. But all in all, the print is very, very nice. And this one was printed straight on the build plate, just like this. There is a hollow point inside of it, and it's a very large hollowed print. But it is very, very highly detailed as well. So that's really, really nice. The other one that I decided to print was with the 3DRS Fast Plus. I printed one of these with it. And if you guys do or do not know what this is the fifth element. I believe this is the water sign, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that. I just kind of printed them. I did try and print 4 of these at the same time, and yeah, that wasn't too good on the build volume because, well, I kind of forgot to load it up with more resin, so all but one failed because all the resin was tipped to one side because I had it on an unleveled surface. And yeah, so one of them printed out of the 4 that I had on there, or 3 on there. So so yeah, it was really, really nice, and this is some really, really heavy duty resin. So I really, really like this stuff for, you know, all intents and purposes. If you really need some high quality resin, this stuff, the 3DRS Fast Plus, is some insane resin. I do highly suggest that if you are looking for heavy duty non-breakable resin. I do have a video on that as well. So, but anyway, all in all, this printer is pretty good. One of the biggest downsides of it is going to be the build volume. So obviously, because it is a budget printer and it is very, very cheap for what you're getting, you know, 2 things are the big problems with it. Is it's low quality built. Not saying that it's not going to print the way that it needs to or anything like that. It's just, all in all, it's a very, very light machine. You can tell that they skipped on parts and things like that, that they felt weren't specifically needed, and kind of threw it together. And then obviously the build volume. So while the X and Y, I guess you can call it, are, you know, normal size for a 4K or a monochrome screen printer, the Z height is very, very small. I can't really think off the top of my head what the size is, but it's definitely a lot smaller than my Creality LDR, my Voxel Lab, Proxima, my Elegoo Mars, my Anycubic Photon, you know, basically all my other printers that are coming in at a similar price range. But again, this printer is specifically designed for very, very high quality. Now, matching that with the 4K resin that they do give you, you can get a little bit more detail out of it, but again, it's just slightly more than what I expected it to. So again, that kind of boils down to each and every print and how you're printing it. All this stuff that I printed was in 0.05 millimeter. It's probably 0.005, but yeah, so I printed it in basically the standard resolution. Sorry, couldn't think there. So that's pretty much what I base my prints off of normally, because 90% of the people are going to just click print and go. And while that's not the best way to do things, that's usually the gold standard for everybody that's getting into 3D printing. They just want to print something right away. So usually they print in the 0.05 millimeter resolutions. So that's what I usually stick with. I don't really need super high detail. I'm sure you can get an amazing high detail out of this if you put it in 0.3 or 0.03, whatever it is. and get some really insanely detailed prints. Frozen really boasts this printer as super high detail. And again, I'm kind of like, yeah, I can see it, but I don't think it's like I said, it's not a game changer. So I'll let you guys be the judge of that if you really want to check this printer out. I'll put some links down below to Frozen's website for it. And you guys can go ahead and purchase that if you feel you need to. And that's pretty much all I got for that. If you guys got any questions, comments, concerns, you can go ahead and put them down below, and I'll try and answer them as fast as I can. And yeah, until next time, guys, happy printing.